These next few problems that we'll look at are strictly practice on completing the square when we have an a value of 1, which all of these three examples have an a value of 1. And then we'll look at some examples when the a value is not 1. So look at the first one, and we've got x squared plus 14x minus 51. And our first step is to add the 51 to the other side. And so I get 51 is equal to x squared plus 14x. And our next move is to take the b value, which is 14, divided by 2, which gives you 7. And then we're going to square 7 to get 49. Since a value was 1, I'm going to add 49 to both sides. And I will get 100 is equal to a perfect square trinomial that we have created. And that will be x. And I know it's going to be addition because of the sign that precedes the b value. And I can get 7 from either taking the square root of 49 or half of the b value. So at this point, I can, if I want to find my vertex, then I'm just going to subtract the 100, and I get x plus 7 quantity square minus 100 is equal to 0. So the vertex will be negative 7 comma negative 100. And remember, since we have x plus 7, that meant that in our formula that h had to be a negative, because when you subtract a negative, you're going to get a positive. So anytime you see the expression when you're looking at vertex form and you see the positive or an addition sign, then we know that x or the h value had to be negative. So I'm going to go from this point right here, and I'm going to solve to find my solution. So the inverse of squaring, I'm going to square root both sides. So I'll get x plus 7 equals 10, and x plus 7 equals negative 10. And we're going to solve both of those, and you get x equal, subtract 7 from 10, I get 3. So I get 3, 0. And if I subtract 7 from negative 10, I'm going to get negative 17. So I get negative 17, comma 0, and there are my solutions and my vertex. Problem 2, I've got x squared plus 6x, and I've got plus 8, and I know that to start that, I'm going to have to subtract 8. And there's the a value is 1, so I'm going to take half of 6, which is 3, and I'm going to square 3 to get 9. I'm going to add 9 here, and I'm going to add 9 here. And that's going to give me 1, and I've created a perfect square. So, you know, I can take half of 6, or I can take the square root of 9. And it's an addition sign, so x plus 3. Now, if I want the vertex, then I'm going to the vertex form, then I'm going to subtract the 1, and I'm going to get x plus 3 quantity squared minus 1 equals 0. So the vertex is negative 3, negative 1. H was negative 3, and K was negative 1. So I come over here, and I solve it for the solutions. So I'm going to square root both sides, and I'm going to get x plus 3 equal 1, and x plus 3 equal negative 1. So x, subtracting 3, I'm going to get negative 4. So negative 4, 0. And when I subtract 3 from 1, I'm going to get negative 2. So I get negative 2, 0. So I've got my vertex, and I've got my solutions. And part C, I'm going to have x squared minus 12x, and I'm going to subtract the 23. And half of 12 is 6, and when I square 6, I'm going to get 36. So I'm going to add it here, and I'm going to add it here. So this gives me 13, and I have a perfect square trinomial, and it'll be x, and it'll be minus now, since the sign in front of the b value is subtraction, so minus, and I can take half of 12, or I can take the square root of 6, and I'll get this. So x minus 6 quantity squared equal 13. And if I want the vertex, then I'm just going to subtract 13, and the vertex would be 6, negative 13. And then if I come over here and I want to solve this, then I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and I'm going to get x minus 6 equals the square root of 13, and x minus 6 equals negative square root of 13. So I'm going to add 6, and I'm going to get 6 plus the square root of 13. So I get 6 plus the square root of 13, comma 0 as one solution. And if I add 6 to the other side, I get 6 minus the square root of 13. So I get 6 minus the square root of 13, comma 0. So I've got my solutions and my vertex.